So, good evening to everyone. Good evening, everyone. Um, Ideally, we would be listening to some music, but I don't know that that's working right now. So, I am happy that you are here with us this evening. This is a second installment of Forward. There are two more to come, and this one is the women who walked the halls of Sumner High School. And this is in honor of Women's History Month. And so we just like to welcome you, welcome you, welcome you. And then at the same time, I know you're hearing me, you may not be seeing me. We'd like to dedicate this program to Dr. Dolores E. Strickland Pinkard. Dr. Pinkard was a former president of the Sumner Alumni Association. She was an educator and she was an administrator in both the Kansas City, Kansas School District and Kansas City, Kansas Community College. She was a graduate of 1962 Sumner High School and she was a proud Spartan. Dr. Pinker was called home on yesterday, and so in remembrance of her, we are dedicating this hour and a half of conversation about women who walked the halls of Sumner High School to Dr. Pinker. Good evening, my dear friends. With us tonight, we have at the top, we have Cheryl Ann Graham Good, a 1973 graduate of Sumner High School. We Ali M. Carroll, a 1973 graduate of Sumner High School. Dr. Eva R. Tucker Nevels, a 1972 graduate of Sumner High School. And Felicia Smith Saphir, a 1972 graduate of Sumner High School. And I am a 1973 graduate of Sumner High School, and I am Jerry Ann Hopkins, your commentator for this evening. So, Ali, I'm just going to pick on you. Tell us a little bit about your walking, literally walking the halls of Sumner High School.
Okay. Well, I walked the halls of Sumner High School, I guess a little too much. Mr. Pittman, he threatened to send me to walk down A Street because I walked the halls during lunchtime. Me and a couple of friends of mine, we didn't go in the cafeteria to eat. We just kind of walked around in the halls, visiting, talking, doing things like that. So, yeah, literally walked those halls during lunchtime.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. When you said it during practice, I was like, I never knew you were out there get walking the halls. I'm just not gonna say getting in trouble. I'm gonna say walking the halls. And so, just out of curiosity, what did you do with your life after you left Sumner High School?
Well, I attended Ottawa University in Ottawa, Kansas. I started off studying to be a social worker, and after my first year, decided I needed to do something different. And my mother said, "Why don't you be a teacher like your big sister?" So that's what I chose to do. So after I graduated from Ottawa University, I started working in the Kansas City, Kansas school district. And actually, my first 2 years I spent as a para, and then I taught elementary, mostly first and second grade, for 14 years. And the last 4 years I spent in the district, I spent as the uh, president of the teachers union there.
Okay. So a negotiator. I'm going to use that word a little bit. You were a negotiator, and I think sometimes you were in the same room with someone else that is with us today as one of our guests. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
So let me see where I'm going to jump. I'm going to go to Miss Felicia. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Felicia.
Well, I am a 72 graduate of Sumner with Eva. And I went on to college, University of Miami, and I finished at the Conservatory of Music. I am a certified music teacher, kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm also certified in math. I'm also certified in culturally responsive pedagogy. And I have been a public administrator for years. Um, I have also taught. My retirement age has brought me into teaching again. And I love being in the schools. I love teaching. I love working with kids, and it's wonderful. And I've had a lot of opportunities as an administrator to be able to see the administrative level and all the way down to the bottom level, and I love it. I love it. I've been teacher of the year, like I said, twice. Uh, I have been public administrator of the year for the greater Kansas City area and community developer of the year for the state of Missouri.
Okay, sounds like your life has been full. Okay, Miss Cheryl Ann, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Cheryl Ann Graham Good from the class of 73. I had a, I initially started off in a non traditional job. I was the first Black female in Kansas City, Kansas, as a ramp service person for TWA. From there, I moved to Los Angeles, California, and from there to New York City, where I currently live. I also did a little bit in the education field, not too much, but I worked for the superintendent of District 28 at one time in New York City after I had my children. I've done a little traveling and
Mhm.
tried to keep up.
All right. So we have a non-traditionalist educational person here. And then Miss Eva, would you like to share just about yourself?
Yes, I am a graduate of 1972. I went on to Emporia State University to get my BS degree in teaching and a minor in music. Um, I always wanted to be a kindergarten teacher like Miss Taylor at Keeling Elementary School. I knew I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher, and I just loved Miss Taylor. So that was my goal. And I ended up being a kindergarten teacher. But then I moved on to first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. And then I became an instructional coach in the Kansas City, Kansas school district, moved on to a professional learning um, director, ended up being the principal of Banneker. And if you know anything about Banneker Elementary School, that was Keeling. So I
It
being
was.
principal of Banneker where Keeling was. So I was just so happy about that. And then from there, I became a district administrator, executive director of different clusters in the KCK school district. And in that role, I was able to support instructional coaches and administrators. And I stayed there for many years supporting educators in the field around teaching and leadership. I also left the KCK school district and went to work for Jeff Howard, Dr. Jeff Howard, at the Efficacy Institute in Boston University, came back to Kansas City, and I worked at the Learning Exchange in Kansas City, Missouri. And then I have retired from my role as executive director 1 year. And right now, I'm a consultant. I work for the Learning Science International and for myself. And if you know anything about learning science, that is the work of Robert Marzano. So I'm one of their consultants. And I'm enjoying life right now.
I know that's right.
That's wonderful. I think that because all of us graduated in the 70s, and somebody might say that that was orchestrated, but it's just actually how it panned out for us this evening. And so let me apologize. There are two things I do need to do. I need to apologize for being this a little bit late. Sometimes, things don't always go the way you think they should or could. And then, secondly, I am not going to start this the wrong way, but I am going to thank Miss Kamisha Tyner, who is the operator owner of Dignified television, and she is allowing us to do this on her television station on this evening. So we want to always just thank our own. Kamisha was the um, how do I put this? She was the orchestrator of the Best Kept Secret, the Sumner High School story. She filmed it, she edited, she wrote it, she filmed it, she did it all. And if you have not had an opportunity to see it, it is available to you on Amazon just for a little bit of money. But also, she is now launching a new television station starting in April. Well, we're on the television station, but it's going to be a regular set of series of events there for you to visit and watch. So just um, make sure you just come back to the station time and time again. With that being said, I thank all of you all for saying yes. Sometimes I guess it's hard not to say yes to me, but I do thank you. All of you all, every last one of you have had some fantastic um jobs. I was just amazed. I told Cheryl today that she didn't know, but I admired her because she did something that typically women didn't do. But then she had one more job that she did not talk about, but I am going to bring it just to the floor because guess what? She walked the halls of Sumner High School, and as she was walking those halls, she was doing something else. She was working at Robinson's shoe store and she was selling shoes. And that was one kind of admirable job. It's something that we don't even know about anymore because you just go in the store, pick up your shoes, make sure they fit, and then you're gone. It's no longer that personalized um that personalization that Cheryl Ann learned how to do as a teenager when she was working at Robinson's Shoes at Indian Springs. And yeah, she's looking at me, but I got that kind of memory and I just know things and I things that you just admire because when we didn't have money, she had money. So
It
uh,
wasn't too much.
well, yeah, it was a little bit more than we did though. So, when you think about the people who walked, the women specifically, I'm not really interested. No pun, no disrespect to the men that were there. But I just want to focus on the women that walked the halls of Sumner. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the teachers. I'm talking about the secretaries. I'm talking about the cafeteria workers, although we decided we didn't particularly care about the food at Sumner as much as we loved the food in Northeast. But, that's just a personal preference for this group. And then also we had somebody that was a lady attendant. Now, I'm just gonna put that out there. What was a lady attendant? And Sherland, this one's going to you. Who was she and what was her purpose? You remember?
her, her name was Geraldine Covington. And that particular lady happened, I'll say it like this: when we grew up, it was a community. And when I say that is, for most of us, if we went to school and there was an adult there, 9 times out of 10, they knew our parents or they belonged to the same church or organization that our parents belonged to. So everybody kind of knew everybody. And she more or less just kept the young ladies in their proper place. I'll say it like that. You
Okay.
respected Mrs. Covington, and she respected you. And if you didn't, she let your parents know about it.
All right. And as you said, we were all a family. A lot of us went to the same churches. A lot of us went to our parents were in the same organizations. And I'm not going to be, but I want to go back to 1911. And if I could, I would like to talk just a little bit about Beulah Burke. Her name was Beulah Elizabeth Burke. And if you all have been following us the month of March, every day we have honored someone from Sumner High School in it's been on Facebook, it's been in YouTube, and we try to just put that person everywhere we could. And but Beulah Burke was pretty much a historical person for a lot of reasons. She graduated from Howard University in approximately 1908, and when she graduated, she was also a founder of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She and her sister Lily moved to Kansas City. Another founder said, we need to start spreading around. So the Burke sisters came to Kansas City, and Beulah taught at Sumner High School. So I'm just going to put this out. There is a bench in her honor at Sumner Academy today. It is placed in her honor. Again, she taught in 19. From what we can see in our history books, she taught at Sumner High School from approximately 1909 to about 1913, and then she moved on. So that's kind of the first person in education that I kind of wanted to bring out to the forefront. And her name again, it was Beulah Elizabeth Burke. And we members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated pretty proud of that. But hey, I'm doubly proud because she walked the halls of Sumner High School. And she probably taught some of our grandparents. I kind of thought back, if my grandmother had been able to go past the eighth grade, she probably would have graduated in Sumner High School from Sumner High School in about 1909. So she may have had her for a teacher, but my grandmother didn't get that opportunity. But I'm not going to say that she was not an awesome person. That's not my point. So let's move on. Anybody else have a favorite teacher that they want to talk about? Let's that was at Sumner, by the way.
Hmm. Well, Gloria Johnson was one of my favorite teachers at Sumner. I just really enjoyed her English class and her literature classes and stuff. So as I well decided to be a teacher, I knew I maybe I could do high school, definitely not middle school, but I chose to do elementary schools. But yeah, she was one of my favorite teachers.
Okay. Um,
I would
she was
agree.
one of my favorites as well, and she was under the tutelage of the infamous Rebecca Bloodworth. So she did her student teaching under Rebecca Bloodworth, just as a FYI. And Gloria was also a graduate of Sumner High School 1965. Don't, for those people out there that are interested, here's a picture of Beulah Burke right now. But those people who are out there who don't know me know that you'll find out that I keep dates and times and birthdays in my head. That's what I do. So this is a picture of Beulah Burke, a founder, one of the first teachers at Sumner High School, and she taught literature. Well, it says MA in home economics. So she taught home economics at Sumner High School. So thank you very much. So Gloria Johnson was one of your favorite teachers as well as one of mine. Any other female teachers that you know that you liked or you looked up to that was there at Sumner High School?
Mm.
Well, let's see. Can I help you out? Guess what? Today I talked to Gwen Swoop, and she taught
Oh,
English
yeah,
at Sumner High School. It
yeah.
was just a very interesting thing that I would get to talk to Mrs. Swoop, but I did get to talk to her on today. And she was there my sophomore and junior year, so she taught English. While we were there, we also had Ruby Jeffries. Beatrice McKendra.
Okay.
Um, for I'm gonna have to ask you because I couldn't sew. So what was the sewing teacher's name?
At Sumner,
At Sumner. I'm looking at her, Miss. It wasn't okay. I'm looking at her, but I don't have a name.
I can remember Northeast, but not Sumner.
I don't
Okay, what about our
remember.
typing teacher?
Oh,
Calhoun.
wow.
Oh, that was at Northeast, Miss Calhoun.
Now,
Yeah.
Miss Calhoun, but who was our business teacher, Miss Ollie? You should come up with that one really easily.
Our business teacher?
The business
I don't
teacher
know.
at Sumner High School when you went there. Her name was
Oh, the
Alice
business teacher was
Yates
Mrs.
Banks.
Banks. Yeah, Mrs. Banks
Okay.
was the business teacher. I never took any classes from her. So when you said our business teacher, I'm thinking, oh, we were in classes together for business. But yeah,
Okay.
but I
All right.
thought Miss
But
Calhoun was at Sumner.
pardon?
I thought Miss Calhoun was at Sumner. She wasn't.
Miss Calhoun was at Northeast.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
I,
All righty.
I just
So
remember she
I'm going up.
wouldn't
I'm
let
going
us.
up and down the
Okay.
hallways now. Miss Blewett, Jim. I'm
Oh
going up
yeah,
and down the
Oh
hallways.
yeah.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
she she was the one that politely told me when I told her I wasn't gonna swim. She said, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah, I had her for swimming also, and she
No, I'm
always
not gonna
in the
swim.
pool.
She said, "Yeah, you are." When she pushed me in the pool, I sat on the bottom. She come in, and I come up and swim every day after that.
But she told me I was going to sit on the side every day until I jumped in that pool. Little did she know, I didn't have any problem sitting
But
on
she
the
stuck
side every
she
day.
stuck that hook in there after me, and when I pulled it out of
But
her
I did
hand, she
not.
came in, and I came up,
I
and
did
after
not
that,
jump. Mm-mm.
I had to swim every day.
No,
Interesting. Interesting. Now that's not what happens in schools today. They don't teach swimming
no,
anymore.
they don't.
So I
No,
just, we were blessed to be able to, even though you may not see it that way, Ollie, Cheryl, but I enjoy swimming. I swam 32 laps a day, so there was something in,
Mm.
yeah, something wrong with me.
Well, it
Um,
was a requirement, graduation requirement for us then,
yeah,
so that was
it
the
was a
only reason
requirement
I was
for
in
us.
there.
well, since we lost our pool in Wyandotte County, we probably needs to be another requirement because most of the schools do still have a pool somewhere. Okay, so we're looking at people who walked in the halls of Sumner. Let's turn that page and let's talk about some non-traditional workers. Anybody have anybody outside of what we've been talking about? We talked a few educators, and now I'm just kind of and if you're in the audience, and by the way, the president of the Alumni Association, Mr. Michael Hobson, did say thank you, ladies, for coming and being on this program tonight. So I want to make sure that you all know that Mike said hi and thank you. So in non-traditional roles, do you all just think of anybody that went to Sumner but did non-traditional things? And if you're in the audience, why don't you let us know, Miss Orlando, what your titles were and what you did in your professions so that we can honor you tonight. Okay. Not only Orlando, because I know she's out there, if there's anyone else.
My oldest sister walked the halls of Sumner High School. She graduated in the class of '67, and she retired as a correctional officer for the state of Kansas.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
That's admirable to say
We,
Yes.
the
we, we
very
have several classmates that are female, if you want to call it a non-traditional experience. They work for the United States Post Office.
okay. And their names. Let's call them.
Um,
I'm honoring
Vicky
people.
Thibodeau Hackett and Carolyn Key.
Elmore.
And she wasn't in our class, but Sheila Harris worked for the post office. And there's a couple of others, but off the top of my head, I can't. But they
Mhm.
work for the United States Post Office. The mail got to go every day.
Every
Okay.
day.
All right. And they worked as mail handlers, which was also a non-traditional position. My dad worked as a mail handler
Yeah.
for the mail service, and it was not an easy job. But so thank you for that. Um, there are some other people. Um, any, I think about, I'm going to go back into Sumner for a minute. I think about the secretaries that were there when we were my senior year, and that was Albertha Martin, who was Mr. Thompson's personal secretary, Kathy Rush, and Barbara Washington were secretaries in the office. But who were our counselors? I've just gone back to Sumner for a minute. So who were our counselors? Because they also walked. Anybody remember the counselors at the one counselor at Sumner that was a female?
Miss Phillips.
Was
She's
she your counselor at before she became
vice,
a
vice
vice
president.
principal?
Yes, she was
Okay,
counsel.
she was a counselor. Okay,
Oh,
Arvestine Fowler.
Oh, yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, I
That's
remember.
College. She wanted to make sure that we all went to college. She thought everybody could go to college. And so, I was grateful to her because whatever I needed, she provided. So, um, then I'm not going to talk about the wonderful cafeteria workers. Somebody's going to have shade on me for that. But I just want to say that even though they were at Northeast, they really were good cooks at Northeast.
Mhm.
And I'm not going. And so it says there were 10 members of the Carroll family who walked the halls, plus two of our children at Sumner Academy, and that came
Right.
for someone named Dolly Spivey, and I think she's all the way
That's
in
my
Georgia.
sister. That's my
That's
big sister.
that's your sister. And
Yeah.
so 10 members of the family. And if I'm sitting here, I'm going to do it again. So how many grandchildren
Oh,
uh
don't ask me that.
yeah, the grandchildren? She said, "Oh, I'm going to ask you, like, okay, Smith and Cage, get ready. How many grandchildren?"
Let's see. Um, I don't know. Let's see. Jordan Caesar don't have any. Donald has two. Will has one. Willie has two. It's five. Dolly has one, two, three, eight. Sherwin has three. 13. Shooting has two. Had two. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Hey, about 18, 19. In
Okay,
case I forgot
those are the
somebody.
offspring. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, so how many cages went to Sumner?
Um, all of my brothers, I had five brothers and I have two sisters. There were eight of us.
Okay.
And all of my brothers attended Sumner except for one. And that's when they changed from Sumner High to Academy. And my two sisters started, but they didn't. Well, one of my sisters graduated from Sumner, but my other sister graduated from Washington. She would have graduated from Sumner.
Okay.
And I have two beautiful granddaughters, and I have one handsome grandson.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I just like to add, in remembrance of Dr. Pinker, is that when I was working on my doctorate, Dolores and Lynn King and I would drive down from our job at KCK and go to KU. And Dolores served on my dissertation committee, and she was so helpful. So, yes, I just want to have a shout out for her.
And there's a picture
Yeah,
of her in
she was
honor of
so
her.
helpful, so helpful, so helpful. So,
Okay. And I think that we all have some good stories about Dolores as an administrator, as president of the Alumni Association. She took it to another level. She brought the professionalism back to the organization. And she stayed on board just to make sure that we were doing the things that she thought the Alumni Association should be doing. And so that is a beautiful picture of her. And again, class of 1962, and she did serve as vice president of Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And Neva, thank you for that personal testament, because she was some kind of administrator, individual, educator, and person. She will be missed. Patrice Carroll says, "Thank you, ladies, for walking the halls of Sumner High so I could walk the halls of Sumner Academy." That's way cool and way cute. That came from Ali's daughter. Mike Hobson says, "My mom, Georgia Taylor, was Georgia Thomas, worked as a secretary at Sumner, class of 1957. Thank you for sharing." I kind of think I remember, was she there when I was there? Ask her, because she just seems so familiar to me, Michael. If she was there when we were there, I'm not quite sure if I remember. And I'm kind of dark, so I'm hoping that my light comes on real soon, because it seems like I'm getting darker and darker and darker. Um,
Can
The
I
other,
share a story about Dolores Pinkert?
sure, you sure may. Absolutely.
Okay. And I shared it with her because I wanted her to know how much I appreciated it. One year when um, New Stanley was about to be a year round school, they were telling the teachers there that they could transfer if they didn't want to do the year round. And so they were the only teachers that could transfer, and Ollie Carroll. And everybody was wondering why Ollie Carroll gets the chance to transfer and nobody else does. And well, it was a situation. But anyway, and she said, "Tell me where you want to go, and if and I will make them take you." I said, "Well, I don't want anybody to have to feel like they have to take me, you know." So she said, "No, you just tell me where you want to go, and then I will make sure that you are land where you want to be." And so I thanked her for that, you know. So and everything, because I really appreciated that. And also, when I went back in the classroom for being a union president, she said, I said, "I can teach anywhere." She said, "No, you pick. These are the openings we have. You pick the one that you want before we put the rest of them out." So that was really nice of her, because she didn't have to do that. They just owed me a job, you know, no special treatment.
Well, I think it's always good to know. My mother said it's always good to have a who.
Yeah.
mhm.
Always have a who. And that who knows how to, and gets it done for you. And not necessarily you're asking, but they're doing it for your best interest. So
Yeah.
that is a really good memory of her. I
I have
yes, go ahead.
I wanted to share that my husband, who passed away, William Tucker, he had five sisters, and they all walked the halls of Sumner. And they had very different jobs. One was a teacher, one was a nurse, one worked for the government, and the other one worked for AT&T. So they walked the halls of Sumner. They were the Tucker young ladies.
All
So I
right.
want to
That's
shout that out.
so I do have a public service announcement. If you all would like to give comments, they will be shared at random. So just so you know, go ahead and share your thoughts, and we will get them up as we can. So I kind of am remiss. I didn't ask how many. What about those Smith girls and that one gentleman? I know there was another one, but that one gentleman that went to Sumner. So tell us about the Smiths, if you don't mind.
Well, Sumner High School. My mother was a graduate of Sumner, and she came out in 1938. And
Now you know
but
Andrea is gonna say 1939, so get ready. Go ahead.
you probably have it right. You've been here more sharper than I am, even with my family. She went on to KU, and she did not teach, but her mother was one of the first black. Um, my grandmother was the first black special ed teacher in the state of Missouri,
Mm.
Wow.
the very first. Uh, 1916. Yes. And so she started the careers of teachers in our family. And I have several sisters who are teachers. Um, My brother has been a teacher, and they've also taught college, and then I'm a teacher, and proud of it, proud of it. Um, in my immediate family, there were 7 of us who came out of Sumner High School, 7, and that included 5 girls that graduated from Sumner. And the one thing I will say about Sumner was that all of us did not finish college, but Sumner pushed further education and training, whether it was vocational training or whether it was further education, so that you would be able to get a job and take care of your family and yourself. And that was one of the things that I really appreciated the Sumner would do, that they would provide that type of guidance to young people. And that was important. And that was important. And I can look across at people that I went to school with and their careers. And regardless of the fact that we didn't come from the most affluent society, it didn't make any difference. We achieved, and we have done very well. And I think that is great.
Okay, so Sherilyn, I don't want you not to talk about your. You said one sister, but you got another sister, so I don't want you to leave my baby out. So talk about your baby sister.
My baby sister is Carol Graham Pitchman, Dr. Carol Graham
That's
Pitchman.
right.
I'm sorry. Let me clear this up. Dr. Carol Graham
That's
Pitchman.
right.
That's right.
Yes, she walked the halls of Sumner, and she has her PhD in education, special education, and she retired, I think, a couple of years ago from Kansas City, Kansas public school system. But she also is get the title right now. She's a junior college, JUCO, out of JUCO,
Mhm.
and she did okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna right here is a
I'm
perfect.
gonna mention one more since you did that.
Okay, hold on. Well, let's stay right here for 1 second. She sent a text message, so I want you to know. Carol said that the sewing teacher was Sue Gray. Okay, now that we now know that's who that was. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. One more.
And although it's not a woman, but it walked the halls of Sumner. Since we talk about family, I cannot leave out my brother, Paul Graham, and he went on to coach not only high school but also college basketball, and he just recently retired also
Okay, so
as a family member.
you broke the rules. You talked about a guy, but that's okay. You
Well,
speak
we mentioned in family members,
Right.
Okay, but see, here is one that I had highly expected for you to pick up on, and that was Lubertha Clinch. Can you say a little bit about her for me?
uh,
She
Granny.
graduated in the class of
Granny walked
19.
the hall. Granny walked the halls of Sumner before
Okay.
many years ago. Yes, she did, and Granny was known as a parent that kept her hand in whatever was going on. She and some of the other mothers give O.L. Plucker a run for his money.
Mm.
you know, and she was an excellent secretary in her own right. And she was also president of the Kansas State Congress many years ago. But yes, she walked the halls of, and after her were her 2 daughters, Lehanna Graham and Betty Clinch.
All right.
And my extended aunts on the other side. And Princetta Hughes taught from time to time at Sumner High School as a substitute teacher.
Okay.
So yes, all family members and all ladies walk the halls of Sumner.
Okay, so see, I want to be that was really good because I'm sure that Gladys Cage made it to Sumner's hallways to walk them. I'm sure that Mrs. Carroll made the walk. I don't know about Mrs. Smith so much, but um, I know that there were those that did walk the halls of Sumner that were our mothers. Now, My mother graduated from Sumner High School. She graduated in 1940 um, with Dr. Grace Curry. She became a doctor and she was in North. Now I know the chest is gonna get me because I have this book right here, and Grace Curry was at I want to say North Carolina AT&T as a professor. Grace Curry Black was her name, and she was a good friend of my mother. But mom was her class was the first class that graduated out of the new building. Now I know when we were there, we didn't think anything was new about that building, but in 1940 is when it opened. And if you watch the documentary, Mrs. Saunders said that she walked. They had to walk their books and their chairs from Ninth and Washington to Eighth and Oakland.
Wow.
And in the winter, that's when they did it in the winter before and then they graduated in that spring. Mom went on to be a teacher, 40 years of teaching. And again, her name was Darlene Smith Jenkins, and she walked the halls of Sumner High School. And I would be remiss in not saying my mama went to Sumner because that's why I went to Sumner. I don't have a lot of siblings like you all. And I was probably always envious of all of you all because you had all your siblings. And so when I say this, Linda will be listening. My dear beloved sister went to Central High School and graduated in 1970. She did not walk the halls of Sumner. All right. Now that was a loving statement, even though it could be misconstrued. All right. Who was the first? We've got some firsts that we have at Sumner. So let me just do the first real quick because we are coming close. Our first. Anybody know the first airline hostess, Shoreland?
Her name was Mary Tiller. Her mother was a professional cosmetologist. Did everybody's hair at church.
She did.
But Mary Tiller was the first Black female flight attendant for TWA.
Wow.
And that's her mother on the left putting on her hat. And so there's a first there. Let's talk about women in business. So Lily Owens owned her own insurance company. And Mr. Owens, please forgive me. It has been, just a day, but she was featured, one of the first blacks featured in Ebony and then in Essence magazine. And she did own her own. And if I'm not right, you can correct me, both you or your daughters. But there's her picture, and she was featured as one of the black businesswomen in America in Ebony magazine. So we used to live for Ebony magazine every month just to see what was inside of it so that we could look at it. But she graduated in 1953 from Sumner High School. Um, any other first that you know? Um,
I want to mention Joanne Collins.
okay, all
I
right.
don't know what year she graduated, but I know she's a Sumner graduate, and she was one of the first Black female city council people.
Okay.
And she's excellent. I mean, excellent.
Okay, so Eva Teresa Cage Massey is saying Mama Cage, she helped in every program on the PTA at every sport or other activity she could support. So that
Yeah.
started in Keeling,
Yeah.
Teresa, and it went through to Sumner. Your mom is awesome. She's
Yes. And
one of the first
is.
mommies I remember.
And she is doing well. She has her health some issues, but she is 95, will be 96 in June. And I know my mom, and I know Felicia can remember when we were
Okay.
raising money trying to go to Paris. Our mamas were there. and the community supported us. So yes, she was
Okay,
very
so here's my first right here, you all. Here is a first sitting next to each other. I want you to make sure if my engineer can get rid of everybody but Eva and Felicia. These two young ladies have the distinction of being a part of the 1972 jazz band that went to Paris. And not only did they go to Paris, but they won the festival.
yes.
Now here I got them. I got the two women, only two women that went, and here they are with me today. Yeah, I told you I wasn't gonna get excited, but hey, this is history that has been made. It's not in the making; it's made. Here they are next to each other. Some how many years? 50 years ago, you all went.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You all went to Paris and you made us proud. And you're right. You are so right. Your moms were right in there with the rest of the community, making sure that that happened.
And I would add that another first, I know for me, I don't know about Felicia, that was a lot of firsts for us going over there. My first time ever been on a plane in another country. I mean, yes, that was a first all the way around.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome to know. My first time on the airplane was in 1973 when I got accepted to college. The first time I got on an airplane, I went on TWA. I walked up the steps outside of the old airport and got on the airplane. So anybody else did that. And my eyes are this big, so I can understand you all are getting on the airplane and you're going probably to New York and then overseas. And then
That's
first
right.
time going through customs, first time just being away from mom and dad at that far away. Wow, what an can either one of you just as a digression for just a second share with me a favorite moment, maybe just a favorite moment in Paris.
I can tell you my favorite moment in Paris was Eva's gonna laugh because she knows I'm crazy. The last concert, and we were at the Paris Conservatory, and all the dignitaries were there. I mean, people were lined up in limousines and tuxedos and gowns coming in, and it was packed. And the press was there, and we were on the stage, and they were getting ready to announce us to play. And I'm a nut. Everyone knows that. And the boys were all nervous. I mean, they were like scared to death. I went up and grabbed the microphone and said, "Hello, I'm Felicia Smith. And this is the Sumner High School band from Kansas City, Kansas." And Leon Brady went crazy. He said, "Get her off that microphone." And that was my moment because I was so, anytime I could grab a microphone, I would. But it calmed the boys down on the stage because they started laughing because Brady was already yelling at me and they were laughing. And it calmed them down so that they could play. The other thing was there were several universities out there, and
Mhm.
the president from University of Miami said, anytime a kid can walk up to a microphone in an audience across the world and do something like that, before I even heard you, I knew we wanted to give you a scholarship.
All right. All right. I mean, I just being in that arena, I didn't get to go, but it was certainly a part. We were still a part of what you all did because everybody in our neighborhoods, everybody in Sumner, what did we do? We saved papers and we did whatever we could to raise money so
Mhm.
that our people, our folk could go to Paris. And you still do us proud. You still do us proud, but I got two of them right here with me, and I really am honored to have you there. Now,
I think as a result of being in the music department, I think that's why we have a connection to music because I am still the choir director and pianist for the church. And I started that when I was at Sumner.
You sure
So
were. You've
yeah,
been there. Have you counted though? That's 50
I've
years.
been, I've been there a long time. That's
You've
what I
been there. You just go. I've been there a long time.
I've just been
Okay.
there a long time, and I know that Felicia is still playing music. In fact, my grandson was uh, learning music from her when he was at school, and so in fact, the trumpet that he was playing was Williams.
Sure
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yes.
All
So
right.
yes,
All right.
that whole experience started a lot of us towards the music and understanding it. So, mhm.
Okay. And you, just so you all know, out there in TV land, um, they won the um the festival. The Sumner band, jazz band won, and so they were awesome. So, Sherlyn, also, I just got another text message that Granny Lubertha Clinch graduated in 1929. That's from the only one that knows how to text. So I'm keep getting texts from Dr. Pitchlin over here. So just so you know,
Yeah.
I'm staying on board. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Um, you know, it is been basically, I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to, we've been blessed 50 years that it's been since we really literally have walked the halls of Sumner. And I don't know, there were a group of women over, like I said, every day this month we have featured people. So anybody, you two were there when Miss Bloodworth were there. So I'm saying you two, the 70 tours, you were there. So do you all have any memories of Rebecca Bloodworth that you might know or share? Anybody?
I don't. I just remember my brothers talking about her.
Mhm.
I think when I was in the ninth grade, if she was there, I didn't know her.
Okay.
She probably retired the next year or something, but my brothers would always talk about Miss Bloodworth.
Family members talked about Rebecca Bloodworth and Scotty
Yes.
P. Davis.
And Scotty P.
And
Davis.
Scotty P. Davis.
And so my shameless story about Rebecca Bloodworth. She was a master teacher. She was a Shakespearean expert, and she made sure that these children at Sumner High School knew Shakespeare, understood Shakespeare, and did Shakespeare. That was one of the things. And but then she was also known for the English language. You couldn't murder it. You
Mhm.
couldn't, you couldn't say duh. You had to say the. And she was very particular about that. I talked to, I didn't call her Rebecca Bloodworth. I called her Becky. Now, I was a little squirt, but every August 26th, we went to her house and we had a birthday cake in tow. And we celebrated her birthday on August 26th for as long as I was small and could remember. And the reason I found out some years later was that she had paid, she and Vera Reynolds, who also taught at Sumner, paid for my mother to go to college. Now, my grandmother sold cakes and pies to help my mother go to college. But Rebecca Bloodworth and Vera Reynolds, my mother's teachers, made sure that she was able to go on and further her education. She was one of 11 children that the Smiths had to adulthood. They had a total of 15. And so I will always honor the memory of Rebecca Bloodworth because she invested in someone who came after her. And that wasn't the only one, but she did do that for our family, and we're very appreciative. Um, your even when you said Miss Taylor, and I'm really meant to say something when you said Miss Taylor, and you wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. She
Mhm.
was also my kindergarten teacher, and
Okay.
then she was gone. And I thought she was so pretty, and I
Mhm.
thought she was. And she probably smelled good too. Those are
She
the two things.
did. She
She
did.
probably smelled
She
good.
did. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
those were my fond memories. But she was such a wonderful kindergarten teacher. How about you? And she did not walk. She was from Oklahoma, and she went back home. So, but I did have Beverly Hook
Hook.
Scott, who taught first grade, who graduated from the class of 54 from Sumner High School. Do you have any other, besides we talked about Gloria, any other teacher? There's Beverly right there. Oh, I'm supposed to say Mrs. Scott. There's Mrs. Scott right there. That's what I'm supposed to say. But there's Beverly. And she was one of the 30 that were honored during this time. Anybody else? Dr. Jesse Kirksey, class of
Right.
65.
Miss
Mary,
Ashley.
Jesse Kirksey. What about Marietta Fine?
Okay, we had Eva Fine Bracy as our sixth grade teacher. So
Mhm.
that was Marietta's sister who played
Oh.
tennis with her.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So those
yeah,
two
Okay.
were the early bird, Venus and Serena Williams. They, I'm
Okay.
sure, were overlooked because they were black and they were from Kansas City, Kansas, and so their prowess was awesome from what we understand. And so they walked with us. They graduated from Sumner High School, the sisters. What about, I'm not cutting anybody else that you all can remember that I'm not bringing up. Okay, so there's Jessie,
Yes.
Dr.
yeah.
Jessie
Jesse
Perksey,
Kirksey.
and she has the distinction is she's still working.
Yeah,
If
she
I
said
were to
um, she's still
part,
still the principal. She is probably one of the oldest principal, is the oldest principal in the Kansas City, Missouri school district. They also use her to train young principals. They send them into her school for a semester before they put them in a building full time now.
okay,
I
they
I I had the privilege of working alongside Dr. Kersey in this group, Associate Plus Doctors Group. She is the president. And in
okay,
fact, I just talked to Dr. Kersey this week.
okay, all
Mhm.
right. So, also on listed on that group, Dr. Nevels was there, Miss Carol was there, Miss Graham Good was there, um, or was she there? Her sister, Dr. Pitchlin, was there. Um, there's Dr. Tucker Nevels, and that came up every day this week. This month, there was one every day. So, there was one more that I just remembered, and there's Dr. Pitchlin, the younger sister of Cheryl Ann. Um, there she is. There's her picture. Um, so there you are.
In that picture.
That's from your ninth. From your 40th class reunion.
Yeah.
I did ask you for a picture. You wouldn't give it to me, but don't ask, don't tell. Um, Naomi Baker Evans. She had a few firsts in her life. She was ticket manager, a ticket administrator at Braniff Airlines. She was featured yesterday. She There's Naomi. She did the scheduling of the corporate jet for Sprint. And when I was talking to her, she said, my mama would always tell somebody, my daughter's somebody.
Mhm.
And isn't that wonderful that your mother can say that about her daughter?
Mhm.
Wonderful.
It's
Yes,
a wonderful thing when your mom
That's
can
great.
look at her offspring and say, what a wonderful uh and because she's was successful in her job, and she started at Douglas Bank. And so though that was yesterday's person, today I believe was it was Scotty P. Davis, was it? It was Scotty P. Davis, I believe, and she was an English teacher at Sumner in the 40s. Just what I don't like to talk about what happened to Sumner, but I do want to remember the good about Sumner. I always would like to keep that before us as we anybody that have any questions. There's Scotty P. Davis. If you have any questions out there in the audience, please, or any comments or anything that we've left out, or would you like to share, just do that for us. Um, then again, Kamisha Tyner, who owns Dignified Digital, but also is starting her own TV station starting in April. This will air as well as the Black History one we did in February with Chester Owens and with Felicia Saphir. This too will this airing will also join that one. And it says, we were all prepared for pursuing excellence in whatever field we landed in. And that was Sister Dolly. It's a difference when your moms and dads push the children. It's a difference when moms and dads support the children in their endeavors. My daddy couldn't sit still for anything. But I played the piano, and every year I had a recital. In every recital, when it was time for me to be up on stage playing, my daddy was out smoking with the other fathers. But he always knew that I had done that recital, but he was always there. I never knew he wasn't in the room, but he was there in support. He was there in his suit and tie, and he was there for support. He may have missed my song, but he heard me practice. And I think it makes all the difference in the world when you have support, when you have somebody behind you, or in some cases, you're a self starter. And then you become a self middle roller, and then you become a self finisher. And you do it with the grace of God. So um, it is just I think, like I said, walking those halls is something I think we learned a lot. We had a lot of family camaraderie. What do I mean by that? The drill team were all buddies, or so I thought. Even I were on the drill team. She was in the band. She was in the orchestra. I was in the choir. uh, but we had families, pockets of families, and we would go on those trips where we would have band days somewhere, and there the whole group would be in the bus. I don't think I could ever go behind us in a bus because we would live in that bus. We would have our sandwiches or whatever they gave us for the day, and then we would sleep all the way home because we would be so tired. But we were so excited all the way going, so we couldn't shut up. But coming back, we were just there. But we had so much good stuff about Sumner. Anybody have any good Sumner memories as you walk the halls? Any good memories?
I didn't have any bad
Mr. Thatcher.
experiences at Sumner, so
Mr.
it's kind
Thatcher.
of hard to. Oh,
Mr.
Mr.
Thatcher.
Mr. Thatcher threw a
Where
pussy
you
in my
going,
head
young
because he
lady?
said I was sleeping and I should have been working. So we won't talk about Mr. Thatcher.
Okay, so Mr. Thatcher, why are you bringing up Mr. Thatcher?
Oh, I forgot we were talking about women. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
why
good
I'm
memory of
leaning
something. It is
in.
a good memory of something, though, when you talk about family and people support, because he was there.
I
Sorry,
don't
baby.
I don't disagree with you. See, you got a really big laugh out of Felicia. I don't disagree with you because yeah, he was interesting. He showed up at church after he told me he was a member of Walnut Boulevard. I'd never seen him there, but he showed up after he said he was a member a couple of times before he left out of here. Um, but
You know,
that
some
was
of
the other part. Go ahead. Who was
the
talking?
fondest memories that I have about Sumner is as the students, that we were able to work together in positive ways. Even if we had differences between ourselves, we would resolve those and come up with a positive solution and be able to work together to build. I mean, even things like science projects. That it might have been one person entering that science project, but it might have been four other friends helping them with that. We didn't do things just on our own by ourselves. I'll look at even Eva and I in music. We made sure we knew where each other was all the time. We never ventured out anywhere by ourselves. We would always take care of each other. And even if we don't see each other for years, we still have that love and bond. I mean, I saw Eva, I hadn't seen Eva for about 4 or 5 years and ran into her in the parking lot. I think I made her late for work because I wouldn't stop hugging her, you know. And so
We talk.
those are lifetime relationships that are extended family that we will always have. It will never ever go away. It will never. And our children, Eva mentioned her grandson. We link it into the next generations. We continue to do that too.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just remember also, as I think about the role that I've had in the school district, trying to work with the culture and the climate of of schools. When I think
Mm-hmm.
about Sumner, I think about the energy and the culture and the climate there. Um, we were all excited about going to school. Now, we probably didn't like everything that was going on, but we found a way to enjoy school. And I just remember the sense of imp- not importance, but I felt that I had to work hard. And they didn't have to say it every day. It was just understood in the fiber of the halls there. And I guess I spent a lot of times walking down the music hall because we were there all the time. And I also remember going into the auditorium to practice, but also that's where we had our meetings. I remember having Future Teachers of America there. I remember just the Honor Society there. It was a way that it was our life. It was what we look forward to. And I think our students are missing some of that excitement and that tenacity and that efficacious work. I just really was blessed to be a part of that. It was hard work that I like every day, no way, but I have great memories of it.
I think there was a climate and an expectation. There are high expectations for every student there, and I think we wanted to meet those expectations that were set for us. So we I loved going to school. I always said I didn't like going to school, but
But you really
yeah,
did.
when you get into the real world, you realize you loved going to school. So yeah, and it's just because you knew the teachers cared about you. You knew they wanted to see you do good and achieve. So yeah, that's what
That's true.
I think a part of that's missing. But you know what? I think it's missing because our teachers lived in our neighborhoods. We saw them outside of school. They saw our parents outside of school. Like you said, we went to church together. We would see them at the grocery stores. And I think a big part of that's missing, where you realize that, there is that extended family, with the teachers in your school.
That is
Mhm.
true.
Okay. Any favorite memories, Miss Good?
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like the lady said. There was a certain amount of pride in just being there, and it's kind of like you don't so much, or I don't so much see that in the way the kids go to school today. I've watched my children go to school, and it's just different. The pride and that was instilled in us, and the respect that was instilled in us when we were growing up, has been diminished quite a bit in today's society.
So, Um,
Mhm.
Dolly Spivey says you were right. The drill team members were all close. My sister Willa and I were on it. Mama made our uniforms and several other members as well. And I remember having to go find somebody to make our uniforms, but our uniforms were made. And
Mhm.
yeah, that was always a treat. The
And
boots and the
black
uniform.
boots or the white boots. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I remember another fond memory I remember it's going to the basketball games,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
halftime performance.
oh,
I
absolutely.
remember going to my first opportunity to go to the Chief Stadium was when the
Oh,
band played during halftime at a Chief Stadium. And I remember we did this movement on the field, and it was the chief riding a horse, and I was carrying this big
Yeah.
feather.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I got hit and had to go to the hospital because it kind of broke my nose. But
mm,
hey, I did not want to leave because it was such an experience. So a lot of first things happen uh, for us at Sumner.
And we have a lot of people to say thank you to because it did.
Absolutely.
mhm.
Because it did happen for us.
Mhm.
Patrice Carroll said, "Women that walk the halls of Sumner have had a major hand in shaping education in Kansas City, Kansas." And I'm sitting here looking at some of the
Yeah.
women that have shaped
Mhm.
those uh, young people who have, even though not having the experiences that we had at Sumner High School. I
Mhm.
think some of my fondest memories, and I'm going to leave it open for you to discuss, was senior week and how we had to work together as teams to get our senior week done. Hobo day, whatever, pajama day, whatever that was. But on Friday, we did a whole production of
Mhm.
something. And our class, 73, took it to the gym, whereas it was always in the auditorium before. And we had such a wonderful time. So that's one of my fond memories. Um,
Well, before that, can I mention my two sisters, Joy Carroll and Sherdine Carroll Daniels? They were also educators in KCK that walked the halls of Sumner. And then my daughter,
Mhm.
Patrice, she's an educator in KCK now, and she walked the halls of Sumner Academy. But
okay.
yeah, I have
Okay.
to mention them too because outstanding teachers, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So when you have a history, so Dolly Spivey again, Sue Gray, Mary Jackson, Roberta Jones, Christine Sears, she's been in the yearbook, Marion Trice, Peggy Harslet, Arvestine Fowler, Josiah Carroll. I'm gonna have to tell her about that. I know Josiah. Ruby Jeffries, Minnie Johnson, Beatrice McKendrick, Kathy Milton walked halls. Thank you so much for that rundown. Because most of those, Roberta Jones, you talk about living in a neighborhood, lived across the street from me on Thompson. Um, any favorite memories? We talked to the to the folk over there. There was something about the basketball games though. Life became alive at basketball games. You look forward to Friday and Saturday nights. You just did. Um, Teresa Cage Massey says yes. Patrice Carroll is an amazing teacher. So we got some sister talking to daughter going on here. So I kind of like that. So we've got generational things that have happened, and they've happened since the beginning of Sumner.
Right.
They meant it bad for us. They didn't mean it for good. But
Mm,
one of the things that God made happen was they went and got PhDs and masters of degree teachers to teach at Sumner High School.
mhm,
Nothing less than that walked the halls of Sumner.
mhm,
And they gave their best. They went on in the summers. What they did was they went to college to get another degree or to extend their knowledge, and then they come back and they would impart that wisdom. And so we were so fortunate. Anyone else out in the audience? Yes, we got one more. This is Harriam. I was a bad kid in school. But my mother and I had some of the same teachers. So had a mother at home and mothers at school. Sumner was home away from home.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that because you
That's
are right.
true.
I wasn't a bad kid, but you're right. We had the same, you know,
Hmm.
people knew people who knew people.
That is true.
And you had to be careful because just like your neighbors would tell on you, your teachers would tell on you. All right, Dolly Spivey says, I remember when Ethel Waters came to the school and sang his eye is
So,
on the sparrow. What year was that, Miss Spivey? Because I think that was way before not way. Don't hold me against don't hold that against me. Don't hold that
I was
against.
the class of 70.
Okay, so not too terribly
This class of
behind
70.
us.
Hmm.
Okay. So we kind of skirted the history, kind of talked about our lives there at Sumner. Any as I look at it, any concluding remarks about where we are, and then I'll kind of give you what's next to come.
What do you mean, where we are?
Okay,
I'm
anybody
not,
got anything they want to say for the good of the, how you before you in church, for the good of the.
I would just like to
One,
say thank you for this opportunity to share our story. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of women who walk the halls of Sumner. I thank God for the life that He has given me and given me now. I am blessed, and I am so excited to be on with you wonderful ladies here and those out there who walk the halls. And I want to say thank you to all of the teachers, administrators, the folks who I didn't even know they were doing the work that they were doing, but they made it happen. The library and just so many people were a part of our life that I didn't take the time to say thank you. So right now I am saying thank you to everyone who poured inside of all of us. And because of you, I am where I am now. So thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Okay.
well said, Eva. Ditto.
Yeah, I love it. Well said. Yes,
well
we
said.
I like
we
to also thank Jerry Ann.
Mhm.
She and her husband has worked very, very hard in putting these pieces together and scrambling sometimes, getting the videos ready and assisting us who are blinking in and out. And you have done just a great job. I mean, fantastic. And you have carried the history on. And now the history is on video, so it lasts forever. And thank you, Jerry Ann.
to God
Class
be
of
the glory.
73.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. Um, I Sumner meant so much to me. My husband's been down the steps a second. Sumner meant so much to me, and I can never repay what it gave me. I never could because I realized that that's where I grew.
Mhm.
I was growing, but I grew there. So anything that I can do for Sumner to keep it before us, I will do my best. This again is a dignified television production. We thank our engineer, Mr. Ronald Hopkins, who is in the background. Still, he's listening and doing stuff and supporting. He is one heck of a supporter. So we want to just thank him for this for helping us today.
Hey.
I just we just can't do it. And then again, Dignified Digital, we want to thank Kamisha Tyner for always saying yes. And I want to give her credit.
Mm.
As you see the pictures of the people each day, um, she's the creative genius behind what you see. And so we work in tandem together, but she is one awesome individual. Watch her soar. I'm just going to say.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? She walked the halls of
Mm.
Sumner Academy.
Yeah.
She walked the halls of Sumner Academy. I don't want to leave that out because she certainly did graduate from Sumner Academy. Dolly says, thank you for Sumner Alumni Association for keeping the dream and history alive. There is so much pride. Absolutely, Dolly. I can't wait to meet you. I cannot wait to meet you. Um, our next our next event. So Felicia and Neva, get ready because I'm coming back your way. We will be featuring musicians that graduated from Sumner High School or attended Sumner High School who that would not mind sharing their gift and song uh, at your choice. And I'm going after as many as I can get to fill up the hour and a half. So that is our next event. I look. I hope again we want to remember Carice, the daughter of Dr. Dolores Pinkard, and her brothers and sisters and relatives as they make plans to say goodbye to Dr. Pinkard. She was again a former president of the Alumni Association and was the sitting parliamentarian. Thank you for reminding me of that. We did dedicate this show, this event to her. Women who walk the halls of Sumner. We just kind of touched the surface, and maybe we'll come back one day and talk about it some more because there's so much more that we can talk about. We just kind of jumped all over, but I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Anybody else have anything to say? We got about 3 minutes. Anybody out in the audience that want to say that would like to share um, anything, any input, anything that we can take to the Alumni Association on behalf of this? Um, I again thank each one of you all for saying yes. This is not easy. I think he just took us all off the side. Can we come back one more time, sir? So if I were with Kamisha, I'd ask, do you know the words to the song, the school song? I got one singer.
Sumner High, oh Sumner High.
Oh, you gonna get in trouble. You gonna get an eighth hour for that, Eva. You gonna get an eighth hour. Who's singing? Is that Eva or
That's Cheryl.
That's Ollie. You don't hear Cheryl singing. I sing Dr. Carol.
Guilty.
I thought it was Ali and Eva. That was those were my choices.
Yeah.
And Eva was going to serve an eighth hour because she said, "Hey," and we got 8 hours for that. You weren't supposed to have any enthusiasm when you said that. When oh dear Sumner High, dear old Sumner High, you weren't supposed. There went again. 2 8 hours. I love you all. You just don't know. For different reasons, I love you all. I thank you all. Um, don't be surprised if we come back to this again and have a discussion about something else about that building and what happened on those floors in that building. It is a precious memory that will never be forgotten. See you all.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Jerry Ann.
Thank
Join.
you,
You're so
Jerry. Bye
very
bye.
welcome.
Bye bye.
You're so very welcome.
Good
Come
night.
again. Come visit with us again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Bye bye. Have a good evening and a
Have a
weekend.
good
Yes.
evening,
Everyone.
everyone.
Yes.
You're still there.
Hmm,
You're still here.
how do I get out of this?